Got it. All right. We're good.
All right. We are live. We are here with the California Sub 2 Accountability Group, and it's great to see so many faces. We got 60 plus people here. Thank you, Vincent Lanza, Mitch Roy, Richard, all the leaders in California. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for our community. I got to say, and Vincent said it earlier, California is the best accountability group in the whole Sub 2 community. Would you guys agree? Thumbs up? Yeah, I love it. And I got to say, we've had more JVs, more deals, more collaboration. I'm guessing if we were competitive, I got to say California's got to be at the top tier. So anyway, I just want to share, Michael Zuber is our guest today. Michael is absolutely incredible. He's become one of my good friends. I've had the pleasure of meeting Michael, I want to say about 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, before COVID. Pre-COVID, we spoke at a meetup or at a day camp with Bo Eckstein, and Adrian and I were there. Michael was there. I got to say that it was interesting. I knew Michael for about probably 6 or 8 months, and we would kind of collaborate and check in and maybe interview or do some things here and there. I had no idea what a savvy businessman this guy is. This guy is an absolute beast. And I knew, so he's the author of, and if you guys don't know, the One Rental at a Time. How many of you guys have the book, One Rental at a Time? He has a second book called Conversations with Millionaires, which is awesome, where he goes through and he talks to a lot of his experts. It's a nice collaboration piece. But here's the beauty. I love Michael because he's so humble and he gives so much. I knew this man for, like I said, about 6 or 9 months. I had no idea. The guy owns over 175 rentals. He has over 175 doors. And the guy was the most humble, sharing, giving, stay, hang out, take pictures, whatever, author on Amazon, bestseller, all the whole thing. So Michael, thank you so much for being here. Do I need to unmute you?
No, I just like that. So I was listening.
Love it, man. So thank you for being here, especially on a Wednesday night. So thank you, first of all. And I want to just get into, I think a lot of people, if you don't know, how many of you, just by show of hands, the people with your cameras on, how many of you watch Michael's daily news or catch some of his content on YouTube, by show of hands? Okay, so that's about half the cameras. I've got to say that, Michael, how long have you been studying the news and how long have you been doing the daily news on YouTube?
So I have an econ degree from college, which means I started doing this when I was in my early 20s and I'm nearly 50. So almost 30 years of watching the market every day. My habit or my routine hasn't changed. I wake up, drink coffee, read about the markets, consumers, cost of capital from about 5:30 to 7:15 for 30 years in a row, 7 days a week. I've been doing a daily financial show for 1,000 days in a row, and daily, yes, means daily, weekends, Christmas, birthdays, Mother's Days, doesn't matter. It happens. I'm lucky enough to be a morning person. My wife is not. So I'm up. I get a couple hours done. The morning show goes off at 7:30 a.m., 7 days a week. So it's pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. So let's go backwards a little bit. And I want to just, you shared a little bit. You went to college. You have an MBA. You understand business. Where did you work at professionally in Silicon Valley?
So my first job out of college undergrad was at Quantum, which was a disk drive manufacturer that was eventually, I think, sold to Mac Store and then Seagate. After Quantum, I went to Sun Micro. Sun Micro obviously was eventually sold to Oracle. From Sun Micro, I went to a small startup company that was eventually bought by Mercury Interactive, which was some testing software. That was eventually bought by HP, which split up, became HPE and HP Inc. And then the last 3 or 4 years, I was at a software company called Splunk. So I've been in the Valley my whole life.
Love it. So guys, we have somebody, a Silicon Valley guy, a California guy. And by the way, his 175 plus doors, plus or minus, because he's always buying, selling, trading, and doing deals like the rest of us.
Yeah.
They're not out of state. Where are your units at, Michael?
They are in Fresno, California. So it's about 2.5 hours. I live and reside in Mountain View. I've lived in Sunnyvale, Cupertino, and Mountain View. So I'm in Mountain View today, where we're speaking from, but invest in Fresno. Bought our first unit, Norris Drive, back in late 2002. So almost 20 years.
20 years he got started. So, and I know, like a lot of us here, I know you come from a very wealthy family. You had You had a trust fund, right? And your family gave you what, $5 million to manage?
No, my family taught me that money is a problem. We grew up poor. Both my parents graduated high school, joined the military. It's where they met. My mother was a stay-at-home mom until I was basically out of the house. My dad never made more than 35 or 40 grand. I made more than my father at 27, which, or 26 or 27, which really tells you all. He was just a laborer, right? He didn't have any skills or anything. So no, I know what it's like to eat a single baked potato a day for 30 days because that's all you can have. I know what it's like to eat a cup of noodle or what was called ramen back in the day with and without the flavor pack because that's all you can afford. No, I was broke. I started working at 12 just to put groceries under the table because in California at that time you couldn't work till you were 13. So I worked at a dry cleaner sucking on fumes as a 12-year-old to get some cash for my family. So no, I've been working forever.
I love it. So you're from Silicon Valley, but you're from a working class family.
No,
in Silicon
yeah,
Valley, right?
I'm not even sure we qualify for working class most of the year. Yeah, we were almost foreclosed on several times. We had going away parties because we thought we were going to get kicked out. It was not, money was a problem. Money was a problem in my family.
So walk us through kind of, you're working at HP and you're a high level sales director, manager. Tell us a little bit about kind of your career, your professional career. You're in corporate America, and then also your stock market stuff, because I think that's very interesting.
Yeah. So kind of give you the career, right? So I gave you the companies. So again, I don't know anything about money. The only thing I know is I equate as an 18-year-old, education equals money. I don't know where I got that from. I'm the only college graduate in my entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. I mean, like down the line, right? Still to this day. And I had to go to De Anza. I never took the SATs because why take the SATs? My parents couldn't afford college. So again, I have a job. I work at Sears and Roebuck selling washers and dryers, full commission. I've been on full commission since I was 17 years old. I made $21,000 as a high school senior and almost made as much as my father did because he was laid off that year. So again, right, I've been hustling for a long time. I go to school. I go to De Anza. If you don't know De Anza, it's a junior college. I get transferred to Santa Clara University. I borrow money, get student loans for the last 2 years. Get out of Santa Clara with about 40 some odd $1,000 in debt. I become an accountant because I was good with numbers. Did I want to be an accountant? No. I wanted to be a banker or Wall Street or whatever. I'm an accountant. I hate it. Right. If you know me at all, kind of type A, likes to bounce around, can't be focused very well, for hours and hours. And I bump into somebody doing some software stuff. Right at the time, Oracle, back when there was, it was non-GUI, it was /navigate, right? I'm an old person, right? So before there was a GUI in Oracle, and they needed a finance guy to come do some business testing or business work. So I did. That's why I got into some software. Then I became a consultant. I instantly doubled my income. That was when I started working, right? So as a employee, I made, 40 grand. As an accountant, I made 85 grand becoming a consultant for a company. That led to eventually being invited to the sales team because I knew the software and could hold my own talking. So I became what's called a pre-sales consultant, started making $100, $100 and a quarter. This is in 97, 98-ish, just an individual contributor, no leadership. The other thing is interesting. If you know anything about software, it's called sales consultants, sales engineers, whatever you want to call it. But everybody in that has a computer science degree, right? Because you were selling software, right? And I'm an accountant. I couldn't write a line of code to save my life. So I was behind, right? All of these people were smarter than me, all of them. And frankly, they're all still smarter than me, but I know how to work. And I knew how to tell a story. So I remember work busting my ass, and I gave my presentation 100 times to an empty room, 100 times in about a 10-day period. So I'd give it notes. And what came from doing work like that is I became the number one guy at this little software company that eventually gets bought by Mercury Interactive. I make almost $300,000 as a sales engineer, which is stupid money. In software, it's supposed to be the enterprise salespeople that make two bills. I was so good. that I am made just shy of 3 bills as a sales engineer before 2000. Obviously, when you're that good, you get invited to the other side of the table, right? Which was really comfortable for me because, again, I wasn't an engineer or I wasn't a computer science, but I could talk, I could get it going, and was very good at that. Was making more and more money, and ultimately was invited into leadership positions to launch brand new products. The last 10 years of my career, I did something 3 times that very few people have. I took a product from 0 to 100 million. And when you do that, you get paid pretty well. So that's kind of my track record. Now, my issues with money, because again, I wasn't taught about money. I was taught, go to school, get a good education, make a lot of money, buy nice stuff. So I bought some stupid things. Up until I was about 30 years old, I spent every penny I had. I got a check, I spent it. I got a check, I spent it. I didn't know any different. I mean, I don't even know if I had a savings account, right? It was just, I was bad with money. But along the way, you get an MBA class, you learn about this guy named Warren Buffett. So I happened to save about $7,000 just before the internet takes off. And then, I live a mile and a quarter from Google, right? I knew, I have neighbors that worked there before they went public. So, I got a little taste on that. And, pretty soon my $7,000 is $200,000. That's more money than my parents can ever fathom seeing. All right, you add up my net worth, my entire family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, it'd be less than that. I thought I walked on water. I was arrogant. I stopped doing the work. I was no longer an investor. I wasn't even a trader. I had morphed into a gambler and I didn't know. Quickly. It took me like 3 years to go from 7 to 200. I'm thinking it was less than 7 weeks. 200 went to 40. So I lost 160 grand being stupid, arrogant. And that was a wake-up call, right? So I finally go to cash with 40 grand left, and I'm defeated. You have no idea how bad I felt knowing that I lost more than my family had ever seen. Just, you have no idea how defeated I was. But I go to the bookstore. I'm hunting. I'm seeking. I know I'm not going to be a stock guy. It's not my thing. I find the purple book that we all know of, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I consume it 12 times in a row. I read it literally back to back 12 times in a row. It just spoke to me. It doesn't tell you how. It doesn't do any of that, but it was enough of a kick in the pants to say, you stupid son of a gun. There is another way. There's a thing called cash flow. You're in the rat race. The fact that I'm now 31 years old and I learned there's a rat race is insulting. And I have an MBA from a great university and I still didn't know about the rat race. It's terrible. So ultimately, Rich Dad, Poor Dad gets me interested in real estate. Again, I told you I lived in the Bay Area. I spent a year looking in the Bay Area because every book I read after Rich Dad, Poor Dad said invest 30 minutes from home. Well, I did that. And again, I'm disciplined, right? I outwork everybody. So I spent every Sunday for 52 weeks in a row finding the magic street in the Bay Area. And there isn't one. There wasn't one in 2001. There's still not one. So I had a choice, go out of state or pull out a California map and see where I could go. So ultimately we find Fresno, California. We buy 1818 North Drive East for 107 grand. It rents for 1,100. It cash flows, $300 after everything. But we're in, right? I own something, right? I have somebody else paying for my thing. So that's where the journey begins. Never gone back to stocks. I'm not a stock guy. I think it's a legalized casino. I think we are far closer to the top than the bottom. I think there's a lot of people about to get crushed that are over leveraged. I see so many similarities today to my .com era, except now everything's a coin. I think there's a lot of people that are paper rich that are about to be paper sad. So, and I'm just going to keep stacking real estate. So that's my story.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to ask a few more questions. I get to spend a lot of time with Michael. So one of the things I want to do is for everybody here, I want you to start to think about some questions that you have. We'll go maybe another 8-10 minutes of me interviewing Michael. And then really what Vince and Mitch and Richard and the group, we want to make it interactive. Mm-hmm. So you have the reaction button down here at the bottom of the screen. All you got to do when we go to questions, just raise your hand. But I want to make sure Michael's incredibly generous tonight to be here. I want to make sure that we get a lot of questions. So Michael, let's get into the weeds.
Yep.
You and I talk about this, and I feel like you and I have talked about it for the last 18 months.
Okay.
I really, 2007, 2008 was a disaster for me because I was over leveraged and I was out of my lane. I was doing development.
Yeah, you got cocky.
Got out over my skis, got over leveraged, but still have done really, really well.
Yeah.
But I want to say that, a lot of people, one of the things Michael and I talk about all the time is this market? He just said something that might have scared some of you. Is this real estate market going to crash? Are you referring to the stock market just now when you talked about a bubble?
Oh, I was talking about crypto first, software and companies that don't make earnings, that have crazy valuations. What you're going to see very quickly, and it's already started today with what the Fed announcement came out with, which, oh, by the way, I called weeks ago. So if you watch my daily show, whatever happened today, I called it Sunday. I told you exactly what their meeting minutes were going to be, so sometimes when you get it right, you got to pat yourself on the back. But yeah, it's that stuff. It's not real estate. Real estate is, there is nothing going on today in the real estate market that is anything close to the Great Recession. The debt to income, the adjustable rate mortgages versus fixed. In fact, folks do the math. Ty and I have graciously shared what I call a 50-year spreadsheet. I went all the way back to 1970 and pulled like 12 stats every year. And here's the deal. Here's what people say, and then here's the truth. How many of you have heard interest rates go up 1%, real estate crashes 10%? Just raise your hands or give me a thumb nod or something. You've heard that, right? That sounds good. I mean, it logically makes sense. Debt's more expensive. Housing has to go down. Well, that's what you get when you don't understand like history. What if I told you there was a decade where rates went up 300 basis points, in layman's terms, 3%. So again, if this rule is true, if it goes up 3%, real estate is supposed to crash 30%, right? Everybody get me? Just nod your head. Okay. Well, what if I told you that real estate in this decade that went up interest rates went up 3 basis points, real estate went up 88%? Would that kind of invalidate that? You probably should be asking yourself, well, what else happened? The magic sauce that all these other idiots don't talk about is wages. We are in the second time of my lifetime, and yes, I was born in the 70s, where wages are accelerating. So 1970s, rates went up 300 basis points, real estate went up 88%, and wages went up 80 some odd percent. Folks, real estate is a payment game. It is a payment game. And as of 2021, when interest rates were 2.75%, and yes, the median family home was 400 and something, it was cheaper in 2021 than 2006. That blows people away. How can that be? Real estate was only 320 grand in 06, but it's 4 something today. Where you jackweasels, the interest rate in 2006 was almost 7%, and it's 2.5 today, or 2 3/4, or 3. Do the math. And these kids on YouTube who have never seen a recession, have never lived through a cycle, they like to say the word crash because it gets them clicks. There's a lot of people doing YouTube videos that are making thousands of dollars a month saying the word crash in their headline 1,000 times. It's pretty disturbing, but I'm here to buy real estate, not get ad revenue. So I'm going to keep buying, and they're going to keep living in their mom's basement.
I love it. So again, I think one of the things somebody said, hey, where do I see the replay? One of the things, Michael will repost this on his YouTube, and then we'll probably do something within the Sub2 page if that's allowable. What I want to also share here is that Michael, this conversation we're having right now, Michael's in this conversation every day. In fact, even on Fridays, we do a weekly wrap up where we kind of look back over the last week and say, what happened, what shifted? So you heard it here, right? We're not expecting a crash, right? What can people, Michael, what real estate investors here in this room, what can we expect to see happen in 22? What's probably more likely in terms of shifts, adjustments, opportunities? What do you see?
Yeah, so there's several things as real estate investors we have to understand, right? What is, especially in the Sub2 community, right? You're looking for opportunities where the owner has a hiccup, a challenge, a problem. What are the best situations for that? Most of the times it's job loss or job change. We are seeing, and we are about to see a changing landscape in the Bay Area and in California in general, lots of job changes, and some of that be recession oriented as well. So first and foremost, what can we count on? Interest rates are going to go up. I would not be shocked if the owner occupied mortgage is something at or slightly above 4%, which again, if you're listening to the kids on YouTube, that's supposed to make housing crash 10%. Not going to happen. Why can I say that so confidently? Well, we just set another record low for national listings. I would ask you if I call it a buy box. You should know your buy box. I'll ask my entire community, I think it was a week ago, tell me about what your inventory was December of 19. And all of you should do this. You should look in your market. You should take a note to do this. My buy box was, I don't know, whatever it is, San Rafael or LA or Orange County or whatever it is for you. How many active listings were in the MLS December of 2019? How many of them are available in now January of 22? I had 87 people reply. 86 of them, inventory was down 60%.
Yep.
The one that replied it went up, I think they ran the search wrong. But I did have one person say it went up slightly. But again, 86 of 87 said available inventory was, 1,100 and now it's 600. It was 417 and now it's 285. You just can't get there with where we are today. Next, talk about mortgages. The lending business has been really strict, right? We're not doing crazy 103% loans. We don't have some fancy free money nonsense going on. Biden is talking about giving it, which may create a problem next year. But right now, we don't have any real excess froth. We are not, generally speaking, if you qualify for a home, you qualify for a home. You're not like 06, I can fog a mirror and I have down payment or earnest money. No, you're like really getting a loan today. So there's nothing set up today that would make, most of you could not sell a property for the next month and your inventory wouldn't go up enough to move the needle anyway. It's comical to think about.
Very interesting. So if we really summarize that, it's interest rates are going to move up. We'll
Yes.
probably see a slowdown,
Yes.
but ultimately, because we still have such low inventories, we're not going to see this big shift.
No. And what you're going to see is a sub 2 community. You want opportunities. You want people that are in distress. So one of the things that I would fish for, right? We get into this little bit of a recession, right? Again, this is what's going to happen. And Ty and I talk about this weekly. I talk about it daily. I believe Jerome Powell's about to get aggressive with interest rates. I've been calling that for months. It happened today. Hence the stock market blew up, crypto blew up. And I think that continues. So that means rates are going to go up. That means less and less people are going to buy, the less you have to transfer a bank. I would be fishing for people that bought in the last year or two. And I would be reaching out to them, marketing, calling them, whatever you want to do, because they may have a job change. They may have to go from California to Vegas or California to Texas. And if we really get into a recession, like there's a negative GDP, people will cut jobs. And then that's the time to go fishing. What I would tell you, 2020 and 2021 were great years to be agents, not a great year to be investors, because we were competing with owners and owners can pay more. They have cheaper debt. I believe a recession scares owners, which means my 7 seconds to evaluate a deal can become 7 hours or 7 days. And I will buy a lot more property this year at better prices. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about 2022. And if you sharpen the axe in sub 2, you should have a lot better conversations this year than last year. Because last year, everybody had equity. There was no inventory. We hit a little bump. Days on market go up. People get behind. They got to sell. It's a different conversation. So I'm pretty excited for what might be my first sub 2 deals. I was almost going to say next year, but it's already this year. So this year.
They're coming.
They're coming. I agree.
So I just raised my hand. So if I'm going to ask Michael one more question, and you can see there in the box, my hand is raised. You just go to the reactions. So if you have a question for Michael, raise your hand and then I will call on you. And I want to ask this one more question to tee it up for you, Michael, and then we're going to go to the questions. Mm-hmm. To build an empire, right? You basically retired yourself out of corporate America. You got 175 plus or minus doors. You're a full-time real estate guy. You work from your fourth bedroom in your home.
Yeah.
You probably have slippers on, right?
Yeah.
You're very comfortable. I know you got an amazing lifestyle and you're financially free, right? So with that said, just speak about the mindset of one rental at a time. I mean, again, I joked about the trust fund, but did you bought one house and then you just started buying units like crazy? Take them through just kind of progressively how you build an empire like that.
Yeah. So again, I start this empire with 40 grand, right? My entire net worth was 40 grand after losing all that money in the stock market. So the first house I buy, again, I don't know what I'm doing. So I take half that and buy $100,000 house, 20 grand down, 80K loan, cash flow. I got a house in 20K now. So about a year goes by, maybe 9 months. I find the next deal. This time I get a little bit smarter. I do what was called an 80-10-10. 80% first, 10% second, 10% down. So now I got 10 grand. And lo and behold, about 9 months later, I put the last 10 grand. Now I'm out. I'm done. So this is now 2.5 years between first and third purchase. A couple of things happen. First and foremost, right away, we start living below our means. Where I was spending our entire income, 100%, by the time we buy the third unit, we're about 75%. So every month we're saving 25% of our income, right? By the way, just so you know, that eventually gets to 50%. We were religious on whacking needs and wants and making sure that we were rolling money into real estate. But at this time, it's about 25%. So we're stacking a little bit of money away. But Fresno had a pretty good run those 3 years. I go back and I do a cash out refi of that first property. I get all my 20K back and then some. Problem, if you read my book, I took too much money. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. The bank said, how much do you want? I said, how much can I have? And they said, here you go. And I said, okay, except that's a problem. Never create an alligator. It's the only picture in my book, my first book. What happened is my mortgage payment was like $1,200 and my rent was $1,100. And I paid a property manager. So I was losing money every month. Don't do that. It sucks. Bad, 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 bad. But I walk away with, I don't know, 35 or 40 grand. I go buy 2 more properties. So that first one has babies. Then that takes me a year, 15 months to deploy the capital. I never took a penny from my real estate portfolio, cash out refi, sale, or 1031 to do anything except buy more properties for 15 years. We didn't do it. We didn't splurge, didn't buy a new car, didn't upgrade the kitchen, nothing. So we just kept this rolling. So we get to 8 units because we did a cash out refi. Now it's 2006, 2007. This is pre-crash, people. And if you haven't read my book, read the book. I'm standing there going, I got to buy a 9th house because I don't know any better. I got to buy a 9th house because I've already bought 8. I got to buy another one. Except, I'm looking in this one little buy box, Norris Drive. And that first house I bought for 107 is now going for 265. Unfortunately, the rent has not changed. It's still 1,100. It cash flows really well at 107. There is no cash flow at 265. So I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And everybody around me is buying. Buy. Crazy. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. My accounting brain and my math, my accounting degree won't let me do it. It's like, I'm not going to, negative cash flow sucks. So I go to a meetup, much like these, right? It would be in person, but now we're doing virtual. And the guy speaking talks about small multifamilies. What am I now? Probably 35. I don't even know what these are. Right. And he's like, and he's not talking duplexes and quads because those are residential. He's talking commercial. So first off, he started talking about apartments. I'm like, I'm not a billionaire. I can't buy apartments. And I remember him putting his arm around me like, oh, Michael, he goes, go look for 5 to 20 unit buildings. I didn't know those were a thing. I'd never looked for those. They're nowhere in my buy box. Sure enough, I go look at them. And then I discovered, the 1031 exchange. We sell every house right at the peak. And we go from 8 houses to 80 units. And cash flow explodes, equity explodes, the market tanks. I mean, you could look up Norris Drive on Zillow if you want. We buy 1818 Norris Drive East. We buy it for 107, sell it for 264, and it gets foreclosed on at 75. I invested in a market that went down 70% but we got out because we were disciplined. And it was a lot easier to stay in apartments as the housing market just crumbled. And then we started buying again. And we bought another 100 units with private money. We were raising private money, recycling capital via BRRRRs. And I was an early writer on Bigger Pockets, writing about BRRRR before it was called that. And yeah, so that's kind of the story.
I love it. I love it. So folks, that was just the roadmap on how to build an empire, right? So for you to go to 100 plus, or let's even say the 80 doors, how many months, how many years was that? That was roughly 6 years?
Yeah, let's call it 6 to 7, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly, but yeah, it wasn't, it was, yeah, call it 6, 7 years. Yeah.
6, 7 years to go from one rental at a time to a couple to.
Yeah, the whole beauty that I hope you take from that is time in market versus timing the market. Here's the deal. That first 20 grand Norris Drive, if I fast forward and watch that 20 grand throughout my portfolio, that $20,000 today is $500,000 in equity, $100,000 cash in the bank, and I think it's 27 units. That's time in the market.
Love it. Love it. So we're going to go to live questions. If you have a question, hit the reaction, raise your hand. Caroline, I was going to call on you. Caroline, do you want to ask your question? You've graced us with your presence. I wanted to call on you. There she is, Caroline.
Sure. Hi, guys. I don't have my camera on, but hi, Michael. I was just wondering, what does your day look like now? So you have all of these doors. How are you structuring your day? Because there's so many of us that are brand new. I know Ty and I are on the daily dial. Doug's on there. A lot of us are trying to get better and better. And it's overwhelming. We're like, oh my gosh, Ty, Michael, Doug, Mitch, all these people have hundreds of doors and I'm brand new. Like, how do you stay structured through your day? What does your average day look like?
Well, let me tell you about the day, Caroline, when I was in your position, because that's probably more important than Caroline, what you don't know about me is I say every day is Saturday and mean it, but that's kind of unfair because I'm 20 years in and that's not where you are. So my day, 21 years ago is I would wake up and I would read the financial markets. I've been doing this at that time for 10 years. I just want to know what's going on because I believe if you know what's going on with the consumer and cost of capital, you're ahead of the game. So that's step one. It's been step one. It's still step one for me today. Then what I do is I go bust my ass during the day. I had a job that would take me all over the world. The last 10 years of my career, I flew 1,000,000 miles, right? So I was usually in 2 continents a week, like Europe and Asia, South America and Africa, right? I was all over the place. So I busted my ass during the day because I had to pay the bills and save money to buy real estate. Now for what you want to know. I have looked at my market, what I call my buy box, every day for 20 years. I still do it today. I believe most new investors overcomplicate it and make things too big. You often go faster by getting more focused. So Caroline, let me tell you my exact buy box back in the day. And I did this with Cody, who's Pace's partner. I did a live stream. What does he call that? Sunday service? I did this with this Sunday service like 6 weeks ago. Okay. So you can go watch a longer version of it. My buy box was single family homes, 3 or 4 bedrooms in a zip code called 93703. It was called the Mayfair. Between, I think it was 1,250 square feet and 1,700. I looked at that unique buy box for 3 years. Fresno is a massive market. It's 1 million people. I've never lived there. I never spent the night there. How can I compete in a market I know no one? I beat on one buy box day after day after day. And probably by day 60 or day 75, I knew that area as well as agents who have lived there. By 6 months, I know it better than anybody else. I could spot a deal without even doing the math. I can figure out it's undervalued or overvalued. And again, I looked at that one little buy. It's probably like 1.5% of Fresno. I looked at that one little area for almost 3 years. If I was going to try to learn Fresno from 2.5 hours away, never being there, never knowing areas, I could never get it done. So as a full-time employee who often traveled to 2 different continents, I would look at a buy box, the same boring buy box every day. And I did it for 3 years. And by 6 months, maybe 9 months, I knew it better than anybody else, which gave me a leg up, and I could take action faster than anybody else. And the other thing, I bought everything out of the MLS, realtor.com, no access, no driving for dollars, no mailers, no virtual assistants texting. I did it. And if I can do it out of the MLS with none of these things, anybody could do it. But most of you are too broad, in my opinion, right? How could you know Cleveland? How could you know Phoenix? How could you know LA, especially if that's remote to you, right? I believe most people, and this is why I did it with Cody, would get far, because again, now I can do the entire Fresno market, even the 1,000 or 1,200 listings in about a half hour, because I can just do my 17 different searches now, and I got them. But that, you don't start there. People like Pace are amazing because he can process information so fast. Nobody wakes up being Pace. Nobody. You got to build it one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. And tomorrow's better than today. And then Friday will be better than Thursday. Back to when I was being a pre-sale, back when I was competing with computer scientists from Stanford and kicking their ass, it's because I fucking outworked them.
I love it. That's amazing. That hits home. So you would say anybody that's new, one thing at a time, focus on a particular buy box. So now I know in Fresno that you're buying between, what was it, 1,300 and 1,700 or 1,100?
Yeah, whatever it was, 1,250 square feet to 1,750, gotcha. 3 or 4 bedrooms. So I didn't want a 2, I didn't want a 5, single story, single family homes. So not a duplex, not a condo, not a townhome. Get very specific.
So we can reverse engineer it. And now I know when I'm in this area, I have Michael to buy, and I'm just going to focus on this and sell everything. Does everybody understand what I'm doing while I'm asking these questions? This is what you should be doing with your buyers. Yeah. And if you're a real estate agent or an investor, you should absolutely, when I tell real estate agents today, like if Ty called me, we didn't know each other. And, or somebody tells me Ty's the man, right? Ty's the man. We all know Ty's the man. Come on. I mean, come on. But, I call him and say, hey, Ty, I'm a new investor. I just listened to, Robert Kiyosaki's mastermind meeting and spent $20,000. I want a deal. And Ty's got a Rolodex of investors and all these other people. Is like, whatever, click. No, I want if I'm calling an agent, you're the man. I want you to ask me about my buy box. Everybody should be talking about a buy box. If you're a wholesaler, your job is to take the entire map of whatever you're fishing and have a buyer or 2 or 3 in each area. Nobody, maybe there's a few, but very few people buy everything everywhere. Some people want fixers. Some people want turnkeys. Some people want singles. Some people want multis. Your job as somebody who's feeding that beast, don't just have one rich son of a gun. That ain't going to last long. It's not, right? Your job is, what Caroline was doing, is to reverse engineer what I'm buying. So Caroline, I will buy every single family home in Fresno, California, 3 or 4 bedrooms, that has positive cash flow. So we can talk about that later. But yeah, I have a much bigger buy box today. Hey, thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. Great question. And by the way, Michael, Caroline is, I wouldn't say she is the hardest working person on this call. She's up at like 3, 4 in the morning to host. She runs a whole division of daily dial calls for Pace and for Sub 2 community. I could tell. She's up every morning, rain or shine, and she gets it done. So great question, Caroline. We love you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Love it. Let's go to Mr. Vincent Lanza, Uncle Lanza.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, first of all, thanks for doing this tonight. I think I first heard you speak at one of Bobby Sharma's. Right? Bobby, yeah, Bobby's a good friend of mine. So I got your book at that time. And
awesome.
Thank you. Been following you since then. My question is, how do you go about analyzing a deal to decide if it's investable for you? That's a good question. So I'm lucky enough to have two strategies today. So I was only when I worked, I treated every deal buy and hold. It was so hard to find deals. I would never sell one. Since I've been retired, right, where I don't have a day job anymore, I flipped 58 homes in 2.5 years. So the first question I ask myself is this a keep or a sell? And the first thing I would tell you is I've changed my mind. The last couple of years, I was selling about 1 out of every 2, just because, I don't know, I had to be busy, I guess. But that was so stupid. I should have kept more. The tax code, cost segregation, bonus depreciation, I should have kept more stuff. So I'm not selling anything in 2022. I will keep everything I buy. So flipping is now out of the equation. In my market, again, as I told Caroline, I look every day.
and my average yield, and I go over this with Cody, is 6.5%. I have no freaking interest in being average. If it's 6.5% or lower, I don't want the deal. If it's 8 or higher, I'm very likely to buy it. It's that simple. I don't care if it's a house. The beauty of what I do is I put apartments and quads and dupes and condos and houses in the same freaking spreadsheet, and I buy the highest yield. I don't treat 20 unit buildings different because I get to flex and say cap rate and IRR and all this other gobbledygook that people try to confuse you with. I want to know how hard my money is working. I want to put my money out, and I want it to have babies, and I want it to have the most babies possible. So that's what I do.
Got it. Awesome. And so I think you answered my second question. You're still actively investing.
Oh, I hope to buy no less than $3 million in property this year. That could be one building, or it could be 20 homes. I don't care how it comes to me, but I have to deploy $3 million.
Love it. Love it. You got a follow-up question, Doug? Go ahead.
No, I mean, I guess you said you're expanding your market. So are you expanding in California? Or?
No, I only Fresno, Madera.
Okay.
What I meant earlier with Caroline, and I was talking about one zip code, and I was making sure she realized I buy all over Fresno today. I was trying to get Caroline to get me some deals.
Yeah, with a couple more zip codes.
Yeah, I'm greedier today.
All right.
I love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great question, Doug. Thank you. Let's go. Armand, I'm going to go to you in a moment. I want to just one of them off of the chat. I know a couple people, like Rob. Rob's been a great supporter of the California group, and I know he had a question. I'm looking for it now. If you guys are in a noisy background or something like that, you can put it in the chat, and then I'll look for it and I'll tee it up. Rob's question was basically what is your preferred method or strategy to buy properties? I would say for the most part, you've been a traditional buyer, right? You're qualifying for financing. And I mean, you've done some seller carries too. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So I would say, wow, for the first 15, well, no. So let me just think about this. For the first 6 years, straight up bank financing, then the banks blow up. I didn't get a bank loan on a residential property for 9 years. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a time where they would not do more than 4 loans.
Yep.
I had a lot more than 4. So I can, and then they went to 10. I got more than 10, right? So I wasn't until very, very recently able to get bank loans, 30-year bank money. So I was doing commercial and private money. I raised millions of dollars private money. I was doing BRRRR with private money. But yeah, seller carry is my preferred method, actually. A lot of older people are retiring. They don't want to pay the tax man. They cost basis is 0. Because of my accounting background, I can very seamlessly talk to them about lowering taxes, maintaining income, removing headaches. So my preferred method probably for the next decade is going to be seller financing to either tired landlords or landlords that want to go live on a cruise ship or something. So that's my preferred method. But again, I can get bank money. I did a non-QM loan the other day at 3.99%. So, you know, I can get pretty much any deal done now, thankfully.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So seller financing, right? Does that sound familiar for our group, right? Our whole theme is seller financing and creative and
yeah,
too. So
seller financing in a recession. So again, I've been doing this 21 years. In recessions, seller financing is the shit. Because what happens when there's a recession? The buyers, all the retail, not all of them, most of them run away. I'm scared. Oh, I'm scared. But some people still have to sell. And sometimes these people that want to sell care more about price than term.
Yep.
I'm a buy and hold investor. I give a shit about price. I have overpaid for property and gotten 0% interest. I have overpaid for property and not had a payment for 5 years. I don't care. You want a stupid number? Great. My terms. So seller financing in recession is awesome. I'm so excited by what's coming.
I love it. I love it, Michael. We'll keep it going. Armin, good to see you, brother. You have a question for Michael. Go for it.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. That was a good introduction to my question as well, actually, because it was all about financing. I'm wondering if maybe you could elaborate a bit about how you go about raising private capital. Used a term that I wasn't familiar with, I think a non-QM loan. I'm not sure what that is. And I'm wondering if outside of banks and traditional sources of financing, whether there are other kinds of institutions that you've found are more easy to work with, like an industrial loan company, or I know Pace has an asset-based lender called Certain Lending that he refers his students to.
Yeah, so non-QM, sorry for that. Thank you for catching me on acronyms. I need to do better at that. Stands for non-qualified mortgage. The one I work with is Velocity Mortgage, but non-QM is a space, right? Which I don't know Pace is one, but I'm assuming it's in this area. They basically sit between, non-QM lenders sit between banks like B of A, Wells Fargo, and hard money, right? So that the space is called non-QM, non-qualified mortgage. Why are they called that? Well, first and foremost, they're called, they use the word mortgage because they have the same attributes as bank money: 30-year fixed, 30-year amortization, points, 3-2-1 prepays, kind of all the same terms we're used to. What's different is the rates are higher, right? Where you might be able to get an owner-occ loan today at 3.5% fixed. Non-QMs, you're probably 5.5 to 7.5. Hard money is probably 11 or 12, maybe 10, 11, 12. Right. So non-QM is in the middle. The difference is hard money sometimes will let you do a bad deal because they want to foreclose on you. A non-QM lender is going to make you have skin in the game because they're going to sell it just like Wells Fargo and banks do. And they realize that if you have skin in the game, your chances of letting that property go are pretty low. So a non-QM lender, generally speaking, won't let you get in without 25% down, but they will escrow the repairs. Right. So difference with the non-QM lenders, you got to have some skin in the game. There are hard money lenders that'll do 100%. I generally don't recommend that because it's so easy to go wrong. And then bank money is the cheapest. Private money, raising private money. The best way to raise private money, and I've done it now twice, raising millions of dollars both times, is to simply document what you're doing. I have never once asked for $1 of private money. Back in 2009 and 10, I created a site called wealthbuildingpro.com. It no longer exists, but it was basically a blog. I was writing about the deal I did every 6 months. Hey, I just bought a property on Echo. I'm calling it the Gumball House because there were so many gumballs in there, and I took pictures. And again, it's nothing fancy. It was a paragraph, some pictures, and oh, by the way, we just worked on the Gumball House, and now look at it now. And I was doing before and after before it was a thing. So we had done like 3 houses in about 9 months because I had capital. I could do a couple, and these houses were cheap. But what happened about the end of year 1 is I had friends who had been following me, making fun of me, going, "Hey, I'm earning 1% or less in the bank. Any chance you got another Gumball House? I'll finance you." Because again, I would pay him 10%. And I still have a couple of loans because they're really small and they're good friends. I'm still paying 10% on, even though I can refi them out. But yeah, I mean, you just document what you're doing, tell people. That's the big thing today about YouTube is you should be documenting everything you're doing. Hey, what I would do if I'm like doing this sub 2 thing is I would walk in the morning, say, I plan on doing these number of calls. I have this list. I have this thing. Then do your thing. And then come back at the end of the day going, hey, today I was going to do 37 calls, but I only did 16 because I wimped out, but I had 1 long phone call and blah, 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 blah. And just document what you're doing. It's going to hurt. It's going to be difficult, but you do something over and over and over again. People will see you get better. Money is not the problem. Jesus Christ, the federal government printed like $17 gazillion in the last 2 years. Money is not the issue. Deals are the issue. If you can document that you know how to find a deal, money will show up. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. It just will. But you've got to be disciplined. The reason Pace can raise as much money as he wants is the man is, I think I'm disciplined. He makes me look like a slacker. That is what it takes. Be consistent, be giving, follow up, just give without expectation. And it's amazing what will come your way.
So may I ask a couple of, I appreciate that. Thank you. Just a couple of,
Armin, it's not a coaching call. This is a group call,
sure.
buddy. Go ahead.
Got it.
One quick one. Go for it.
Yeah. I'm wondering about raising private money. Are there any like steps that we should all be aware of?
If you want to raise private
doing
money,
things
you need to
properly other
document
than like, oh, sorry.
You need to document that you need to document your process of learning and how you're getting better and better. And then people will come to you. Don't think about the contract and the this and the that. Your job is to get good at your craft, whatever your craft is. And then keep telling people, and people will come to you and go, oh my God, Armin, how'd you find that one? That's awesome. What do you need? Can I help? Can I be a part of it? Don't outthink yourself and set up 17 LLCs and trusts and all this other stuff. And you haven't even done the work yet. Go do the work.
Great answer. Armin, you asked the same question last time I was on a call with you. And one of the things I want to just say is what Michael, and this is a great, Michael, thank you so much. And to the group, and Armin, this is love, brother. This is love for you. Like, one of the things is that what Michael was really saying, if you read between the lines, is he says, if you're a doer and you're doing deals, the money's going to come to you. You're not going to be looking for money. Money's going to come and find you and say, hey, I want a piece of action. How do I JV with you? How do I get my money with you? And that is universally true. I've been doing this since early 90s. And I can tell you, when you're out there and people see you doing it at a high level, that's attractive. People, the money is going to come to you. So Armin, you just got to get out and do deals, brother. You just got to get out and do the work.
Sure. I think the question that I had, and the reason I've brought this up a couple of times, is because I have a fear of not knowing what to do at the point that someone comes to me and says, I want to partner with this and provide the capital for you. I don't want to do something out of inexperience that, it violates some regulation somewhere. And
you're
in the end,
6 to 9 months from having any of those conversations.
Sure.
Go do the work.
Okay.
If your problem is, oh my God, I found a deal and now somebody wants to hand me $100,000, that's a very different conversation. That's not where you are.
Okay.
Go find a deal
Sure.
and then find another one and another one.
I love it.
Sounds similar to what Ty said. So thank you. Yeah.
Keep doing the work, brother. Glad you're here, man. Thank you for asking a great question. So Brian, let's go to Brian. Brian Smith.
Hey, what's going on, Michael? Hey, thank you guys for having me. And I appreciate you being here answering questions. So I'm really new to sub 2. I've only been wholesaling for a couple months. I've been working virtually. I was always scared of the California market. And I guess my question to you is, how did you pick Fresno? And the reason I'm asking is, I mean, I know you've been doing it for a while, but now that I know there was a bunch of rental laws where people were, able to stay in their houses during the whole COVID thing and, without paying rent. And so I guess my struggle that I'm really having a hard time with is I'm getting people telling me that, hey, invest and do all your deals, pick your market where you eventually want to have rentals or where you want to have Airbnbs, or I'm just trying to pick a market. I'm wondering if I'm in Southern California in Riverside, and I'm wondering if I should just stick to my backyard and just.
Riverside is Inland Empire, high desert, great areas. You can still cash flow.
That's what I'm wondering, if I should just go balls to the wall here instead of trying to do deals in South Mississippi. I mean, like,
yeah, again, the buy box is a big deal. The only really way to learn a market out of, so let me just answer this question. Why Fresno? That was your question.
Kind of.
So again, I spent a year looking in the Bay Area, right? Because everybody said 30 minutes from home. That didn't work for me, right? That's like you living in Orange County. Doesn't work, right? Okay, so now I'm sitting at the table with my wife, who is far smarter than I am. And she goes, what are we going to do? Because I am not doing a 53rd weekend. I am serious. I did 52 weekends in a row. I'm not doing 53. I'm like, okay. So I say, she goes, do you want to go out of state? Because people are telling us the same shit. Go to Texas, right? Go to, Alabama, go to Ohio. So I looked at her and goes, honey, at this time I was probably doing 200,000 miles a year on an airplane. And I freaking hate to fly. I hate every mile. And I go, I'm not getting on a plane to see our rentals. So she goes, okay, great. So out of state's off. So she already knew what the answer was, but she's playing me along, right? So then she pulls out a California map, puts it right on the table. I think she got it from AAA back in the day, right? Puts it on the map. And she goes, we have to start drawing circles. I'm like, circles? What the hell do you have to draw circles for? She goes, we're going to go 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, right? She's going distance from our home.
Wow.
And we didn't find a market that met our criteria until Fresno, California. It's 2.5 hours away, right at the cusp of a day trip. I've never spent the night. Why Fresno? It was a big city. It was 500,000 people when we started. It's now 1 million. I didn't want to do a city of 20,000. It had multiple employers. It did not get affected by the tech wreck. Remember, I start this after the tech blow up. Fresno didn't even have a tech problem. Just kept, it makes food, right? What's Fresno? Food. And your state taxes go there too, side note.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, Newsom. But that's why Fresno, and that's why I've stayed. I wouldn't invest in San Francisco, too many laws. But back to your real question. So pandemic, March of 2020.
Mhm.
I have, let's just call it 200 units. It's Sunday. We just shut down. I'm like, fuck. We have enough. We have money, but I don't got years of money, right, to pay mortgage payment. I'm like,
Sure.
so I call my property manager. We go unit by unit. It's hours. Like what job do they have? What's going on? All of this, right? So basically we get through 200 or so and we find 20 that are a problem, like risky, like they work at McDonald's or wherever they work. So the first thing we do is we get aggressive and we reach out to those people. Do you need help? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Lo and behold, most of them are okay in the beginning, but long story short, rent collections for the last, what would be now 23 months or 22 months. For most of that, we're down 1%. And that said, out of 200 units or 190 probably by then, maybe 188, we had 2 tenants play games. It did happen, but it was 2 out of 200. It was 1%.
Wow, that's
People
amazing.
talk noise and nonsense. If you're listening to someone that talks about California being a bad market and they own fucking nothing, why are you listening to them?
Because I own nothing.
I mean,
yeah, I got you.
I mean, come on, right? If
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
own a dozen units and you're exiting from California to Texas, okay, I'm going to listen to you. But all these
Yeah.
people that talk about California, this and that, it's fine. California is an amazing market. Why am I financially free? Because I invested in California. California runs up. There's this thing called the affordability index. I talk in my book. I
Mhm.
got out. It ran down. I got back in. I got back out. I love California. I love up and down. I hate boring Tennessee.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you
So
very much.
good.
I really appreciate it.
Of course. Good
So
luck.
good.
Thank
So
you.
good. I want to just share with you guys and gals real quick. We're going to do a book giveaway. I didn't tell Michael we were going to do this. So Michael, I'm giving away your books. We're going to give away, I've got basically like 4 or 5 books that we're going to give away. So we have the one rental at a time. By the way, Michael, these you originally gifted to me. You sent me a couple cases to give to the
Yeah, of course.
foundation builders.
Please do
Spot
it.
Up. So thank you. And then also this is a gift from Adrian and I. We're going to give away a couple of these as well. So all you got to do is text for the book giveaway, text the word book to 949-401-7598, 949-401-7598. Text the word book. And then what we'll do is I'll show the winners here. I'll have Michael actually call it. We'll probably go, he'll call like a couple of different numbers, 1, 5, 7, whatever, like however you want to call it. So Michael, do you have a question? Do you have time for one more question or?
Sure.
Okay, there's got to be somebody with a burning question. Somebody out there, come on, somebody that has a really good question that everybody can benefit from. Scott Jenkins, did I see you raise your hand, Scott?
I did, thank you. It wasn't really a question. I apologize. I'll try to think of one. Mike, thank you so much for this evening. I want to make a comment on what you just said about wholesalers or people being too broad in what they do and looking in too many markets at the same time. I was victim of the same bloody thing when I started wholesaling, and I stumbled into, I just lost the term, doing a la carte shopping list. And I do wholesaling. That's what I do. I wholesale in 20 states right now.
Nice.
And the only wholesaling I'm doing is catering. I started with fortune builder people
Sure.
because I'm a fortune builder. And they were coming to me saying, I'm looking for rehabs and I can't find them.
Right.
So I would get their buy box and find out exactly where they're looking and what they're looking for. And then I would go hunting.
Exactly.
So I thought, hell, that's the way to do it.
You
So
solved
that's what
half
I've been
the
doing.
riddle. Yep.
There you go. Because I already know who wants to buy. and I've got their exact buy box and how much they're willing to pay for it and how many they want to do a month or 6 months or a year.
Feed the
So I
machine.
just put them in my shopping cart and I go looking. So every market I've gone to, I've replicated that. And
I think that
found-
is genius. I hope people are listening.
I mentor a group and I try to explain that to them. Don't go too broad.
No.
Don't look for 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
I would tell a new wholesaler, you shouldn't have a list or a search or a query or whatever what vocabulary you're using, unless you know you have a buyer for that thing. Like your example of fortune builders, right? Fortune builders are a bunch of investors who are looking to do rehabs and maybe some burrs or keeps. What is your freaking buy box? Well, great. I'm going to fish for that. And then when I find that fish, I'm going to bring it to you. I'm not going to bring you a shrimp because you only want fish, but this person wants shrimp. I'm going to bring them shrimp. And then you got a shopping cart. You're going along. No fish, no fish. Oh, no fish, no fish, fish. It's genius, Scott. Genius.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Scott.
You're on mute, Scott. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. So we're going to give away 5 books. Why don't you just call some random numbers and then we'll show who the winners are.
So 1 to how many? What's the max?
So we're going to do 5. So you can go to like 15, like 1, 2, 3, 7, whatever.
Okay. So 2 is my lucky number. If you're ever on this show with me, so 2 will always be picked. I'll go 9, 11, because 1 plus 1 is 2. 7, and of course 13.
Love it. 2, 9, 11, 7, and 13. I feel like we're playing bingo right now.
There you go.
But here we go. So that would be 2 would be Manuel Perez. Manuel Perez, please send me your mailing address, Manuel Perez. 9, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alifa, please send me your mailing address here in the text. Text me your mailing address. Then we'll go 10, 11 would be Mr. Gupta, or Mrs. Gupta.
Cool.
There we go. And let's see. Did we say 7? We did say 7, didn't we?
We didn't name who that was, but I did say 7. Yes.
7. That would be Jessica Wilkinson. Jessica Wilkinson. Please send me your address, your mailing address, so I can mail you a book. And then last but not least would be 13, which would be Christian Yellett. Christian Yellett. So there you go. Be sure to, everybody that we just called out, be sure to text me your mailing address and we'll get these books out, I would say early next week. So
yeah, and I saw something else come up, Ty, real quick. Somebody talked about what did he mean by 6.5? That's cash on cash. How much money I'm putting up, how much money I'm getting back. It's another I call it yield. You can call it cash on cash or return on capital, ROC, or whatever you want to call it.
I love it. I love it. Any parting thoughts for the group, Michael?
I would just say, yeah, hold on. 2022 is going to be interesting. There's a lot of people that are over leveraged in other assets. Housing, people might get scared to buy, which is everybody on this call should be. 2022 is going to be a better year for us, including me, than 2020 and 2020. 2020 and 2021 were hard unless you were a real estate agent. 2022 is the year for investors, and I'm excited.
I love it. You guys heard it here, right? It's the year of investors. We're going to see a little turbulence, so be ready. And when you see it, get excited. Don't get nervous. When you start seeing the headlines about interest rates and all of that, just remember. And then again, Michael, where should people follow you?
YouTube channel is best. It's where I focus and create 5 original pieces of content a day, 1 rental at a time.
I love it. I love it. 1 rental at a time, folks. Start following Michael on YouTube. Michael, thank you so much for all that you share. I just want to share also, I know that there's several people that have inquired and asked me. My partner, Adrian, and I are doing an event. We're doing a live event. If you go to, Michael's actually a part of it. You can go to tylg.com. If you're interested, we're doing a free webinar next Wednesday talking about the event. Or if you just want to sign up for the event, it's called Ascend. It's a 2-day mastermind. We're also doing a 3rd day, Diamond Day. We've been talking about that. We have a promo code 2022, and tickets $750. We've sold this same mastermind for $5,000 a seat. Okay, $5,000 a seat. It's going to be in Dana Point, California. It's a live event. So again, if you want more information on it, go to tylg.com. That's where you can also submit deals, submit questions. You can DM me. But if you want more information about the Ascend event, you can text me there, get on a free webinar, or you can just sign up. Again, the promo code is 2022. Any parting words, Vincent, Uncle Lanza, anything you want to share?
No, I just, echo what you're saying, Michael and Ty. I just have this incredible excitement about what's about to happen in 2022. Yeah. And just, like you said, it's going to be a wild ride, but the opportunity for creative financing for the position that we're in is going to be amazing. So I can feel that momentum already going. And I don't, when 2021 finished, I was like, bye-bye 2021. And I had this incredible excitement inside of me, like 2022 is going to be amazing. So just get ready for this ride, everybody.
Yep.
Love it. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Northern California, Southern California, all California. Hey, how about shout out to Pace Morby?
Yay,
Pace and Laura
Pace!
Morby.
Yeah, they got a baby coming February 2nd, I think. Look at them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Beautiful stuff, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for putting this together. Have a great evening.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks.